You're okay now? Okay, good. All Hello, everyone. Hello. This is a trick. Maybe the handheld might be better. Let's see. Hello? Yeah, much better. Okay. We're going to dispense with this. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, good. Welcome, everybody. What a nice, now we're getting to be a group of people. This is good. Before it was a light group. So now, welcome, everybody. Let's continue to have Marcia Hunt. Good to see you. Are you in Arkansas?
I'm in Arkansas.
Okay.
Greenwood, Arkansas. Mm-hmm.
All right. How's
the
it?
twins' birthday today.
Whose?
The twins, my twin grandchildren. It's their birthday today.
How old are they?
17.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Are they both girls?
No, one boy and one girl.
Okay.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. Are they identical?
No, one's a boy and one's a girl.
Good job. Okay.
One's a redhead and one's a brunette.
Okay, well, good. Maybe someday you'll share photos with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving right along. I want to welcome everybody to the friendliest Westwood Village Rotary Club that you could possibly have. And we're in Westwood Village, so that gives us another thing. Okay. And of course, this is not working. No.
I hear you fine.
No, I'm talking about the slide. Yes, perfect. Now it's working. Let's create some magic. Ed Jackson's here. It's already magic. Good to see you, Ed. We haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. Good. I want to thank Chuck for being such an incredible greeter. Let's give Chuck a round of applause. And Christine, would you lead us in the pledge? To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Christine. The thought of the day is past President Mark Rogo, and will be the president next year, one of the presidents.
One of the three of us.
Three of us. Here. Okay.
So I thought a lot about the thought of the day. And I decided rather than reaching out for these big accolades and so forth, this time I'd like to talk about Rotary. For many of you who didn't know him, Dr. Myron Taylor wrote a book on the four-way test of Rotary. Myron Taylor was the retired minister, I believe, of the Westwood Christian Hills Church, a longtime member of our club. It's really a fascinating book. All you new members, you have one in your membership packet. So I just want to read to you some of what he said. Some. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular, to encourage and foster, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying by each Rotarian of his or her occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Excuse me. Third, the application of the ideal of service by every Rotarian to one's personal, business, and community life. And fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional men and women united in the ideal of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Roga. I want to thank Jim Crane for doing the windmill. Thank you, Jim. Give him a hand. Are there any visitors or guests besides our speaker? I don't see anybody. So we'll move on. Welcome, Steve Shear. Good to see you. Okay, so this Saturday is our district assembly. How many people have registered and are going? Raise your hands. Okay. Matt, are you? What? Okay, got it. All right, so there'll be 5. Is that 5? Let me see. Hands again. And Janet, 6. Okay, I see. 6. Chuck, you're going to let us know. Probably not. Okay. So those of you who would like to carpool with me, I'm leaving my house at 7 o'clock in the morning. Be happy. If you want to have my address, come over, park your car. We'll all go in one car. Mark also is driving. So you got to be there at 7.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be there. So anybody who would like to go with me, I can fit 5 easy. So if you want to come, just let me know. So we'll wait for it. Again, when you register, make sure you keep your information and send it to Terry. We'll reimburse you. Okay? We pay for education. This is really a good opportunity for you to learn. Again, I know Susan and I will have a good time representing our club at the district conference. I would love other people to join us, but it seems that only the 2 of us are going to be there. So we'll have fun for all, okay? And we're going right along. Before we get to Mark, Steve, did you want to come up and make a presentation?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You got a microphone. Okay.
Well, hello, everyone. And again, it's my pleasure as your foundation chair to come up before you and to make a presentation of a multiple Paul Harris Fellow pin to one of our members. For those of you in the crowd that are not or newer to Rotary, Paul Harris Fellow was the founder of Rotary International back in 1906, along with friends in Chicago. And after he passed on, they honored him with what they call the Paul Harris Fellow presentation or award. And so if you give $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation, you become a Paul Harris Fellow. The money is used by the Rotary Foundation for all the wonderful projects and opportunities for service around the world. But becoming a Paul Harris Fellow is just a step. It's not the end of the journey, and we look to our fellow Rotarians to continue making contributions. And when you do, you become a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And today I have the pleasure to present to one of our members his Paul Harris Fellow pin +1. I'd like to ask Dave Stover to come forward and receive his pin as a Paul Harris Fellow +1.
So he's tall. You might want to grab it. Here.
Okay, I'll do. I'll be happy.
Yeah, please. I mean, I have to go like this. It's a little more easier for Steve.
All right, let me get, so the Paul's head's looking upwards. Anyway, congratulations, David. Thank you.
You're right here. So right here.
Is it?
You're right here. No, turn around. Look over here. Right here. Back.
All right.
Good. All right. Good job, Steve. Great job, Dave. Good, good. All right. So, Mark Nichols, let me give you an intro. No, I'm going to introduce you, then call you up. So, he has an extensive bio. So, I'm going to read just a part of it, and then he'll fill in the blanks. Mark's journey has taken him from an internship with Bob Sprangler, Whitney Houston, running stage sound for Meatloaf, a graduate of Syracuse University, College of Law. Mark practiced securities and compliance law, as well as entertainment law before returning fully to a creative space as the owner of Manhattan Beach Studios, which he'll be talking about, Manhattan Beach Studios. Spanning his career, Mark has been a voting member of the Grammys, a recording artist. He will be singing 10 songs today. He's going to make this so entertaining, you're going to blow your mind. Just kidding. He's not a singer, are you? No, okay. But he might take some photos. You never know. He is an extensive photographer. He has taken time in Africa, Antarctica, Alaska, and more of his work has graced over 100 magazine covers. And featured in countless publications, Mark is the owner of, as well as a producer and director of Manhattan Beach Studios. This could go on and on, but without further ado, let's give Mark Nicholas, right? A warm welcome.
Would you want me to?
It doesn't, you could stand right here.
Perfect.
Let's see. Yeah, this is a good, can he walk around? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me. It's a pleasure. This is my mission in life, talking about this very subject. And it seems kind of scary and dark, but hopefully when we're done, it's bright and happy. So I have descended from Holocaust survivors, from pogrom survivors in Russia. Most of those stories are lost. We only captured a couple of them. I have worked with over 100,000 states because I was in charge of compliance for ING North America. We've seen well over 1 million people die during the time I was with ING North America, and about 5% of those have come to my department. So we've been resolving problematic states. So I don't know of any lawyers that have seen more than my kind of lawyers, the in-house financial people. And so I've been involved in all aspects of this life, in terms of trying to save stories. And somehow along the way, I became creative and opened up a studio. I've taken, just every year on average, I take over 500,000 photos. It seems like a lot, but I'm the big head photographer for UCLA, and every time we shoot a basketball game, that's another 6,000. So it adds up really, really fast. But we're constantly thinking about how do we archive? How do we keep this stuff organized in a way? And that's kind of what we're here to talk about. So the question is, are we destined to lose everything? And the answer is 100% we are. For the very first generation, very first people on this planet, we are more likely to lose every bit of our history than anyone who has preceded us. And that sounds like a really crazy thing to say. I realized this back in 2004 reading a story from historians that were published in the New York Times. They were predicting this. And it seems like it's playing itself out. So the question is, how do I justify that? Because it seems like a ridiculous statement. And, we're going to talk about what are we trying to say. We're talking about our legacies. We're talking about our memories, our family histories. What are we passing down? And, before it gets to probate, before something happens, we need to be thinking about this, because once you have a family crisis or a health crisis or something like that, it's gone. You might as well kiss most of this stuff away. So, let me try to justify this for you. If you go back to the turn of the century when cameras were first invented, the average family took between 10 and 20 photos. Same thing applied in the 20s and the 30s. Basically in the 40s, that number just gradually jumped up a little bit. It was still taking rolls of film. Families were not storing a whole lot of images. We were 36 to 100 on the average family, in the 40s, the 50s, 100 to 200, stayed the same, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, something magical happened in 2008. You can see that on the chart when the film ended and digital fully took over. At that moment, we no longer had negatives. We no longer had photo books. We were no longer printing our photos. Everything ended right at that time. So right now, the average person takes 7,409 photos. That seems, again, like a lot until you realize that's only 20 per day. And if you were to go to somebody's graduation, you're going to take 20 just for them posing, thinking you're just going to get the best one out of the 20. So we were taking a tremendous number of images per day, 2.21 trillion in 2005 to 2025. So talking about what is the real problem, the problem is not just the volume of what we're taking in. The problem is also the fact that only 39% of phones are backed up. Most of our photos are on phones. 40% of them are what we call tenuously backed up. They're about to lose everything. Now that can happen if you forget to pay your Apple bill of $9.95 a month to iCloud. Or it can happen if you're using the cloud and storage that is going to go out of business. Or it can happen because of a fire that happens in the Palisades, which, by the way, is the reason why I'm speaking again. Because we used to speak, and then I stopped, and now it's time to help everybody archive their stuff. We don't keyword. So you take your 30 pictures at the graduation or 100 pictures at the graduation, but you don't figure out which are the top 5 you want to save. So now you're looking at over 100 photos. So who's going to look at that? If something happened to you and you pass that down, is anyone from your family going to actually take the time to go through those 100 photos, never mind the other 7,400, 7,300 that you took? We're not keywording. We're not sorting them down. We're not filtering. The average lifespan of a photo used to be for life. You put it in an album and we look at it every year. Now the average lifespan of a photo is long enough for you to post on social media. Digital alliance. We're about to talk about how bad of an idea digital alliance is. There is no family record. Less than 0.01% of photos are ever printed. Most families spend 0. And the video nightmare. We take all these wonderful videos and they have no place in the store. They cannot be printed. So what do we do with all of that data? Okay? By the way, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. If I'm going too fast, let me know, but I would like to get to the solutions, get over the problems.
So Mark, just quick question.
Yes, sir.
Are people, and may interrupt you, or do you want to have them at the end?
100% interrupted.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, come on.
Right. So there's a concept that digital is safe. But even in the world of e-signatures, and I was one of the people that helped draft that. I was one of the people who was in law, trying to figure out how to handle digital e-signatures for financial institutions. They were never designed to protect data. They were designed for ease of commerce, so that you didn't have to scan documents, send them, just make contract signing easy. It was never built to archive. PDF wills. PDF wills are invalid. There's a reason why the courts say 100% no on a PDF will. They're using a fake, and they're lost all the time, and you can easily come up with a new document that looks exactly the same. They're not even allowed. Hard drives. They fail at least after every 7 years. So if you think the photos are safe on a hard drive, they're not. They're going to go away probably within the next couple of years. If you're on an SSD drive, the average lifespan is 15 years. That assumes they're not exposed to super cold, sun, warm temperatures, or water or moisture, and then you're only going to get 15 years out. So if you have 15 more years in your lifespan, by the time you pass away, anything you stored on those devices is likely gone. Digital files are very rarely accessed, not only by you, but by your survivors. We'll talk about that in a second. And of course, things can be manipulated. That's not really the topic for today's conversation. So, cloud storage. Everybody thinks cloud storage is safe. So let's take a quick look at what cloud storage is. Here is my web host. This is where I store a lot of documents and I share a lot of things. So you'll notice I actually keep my scrapbooks and my PDF files on my web host. How cool is that, right? That's absolutely amazing. Until you take 1 second and you look at these file types, you'll notice my interactive documents are also in a format called SWF. Anybody know what SWF stands for?
No.
Exactly. You?
No.
Yeah, see? Nobody knows. But you know what PDF stands for, right? Hey, the PDF still in existence.
SWF, 13 years ago, Adobe decided that it was too big of a risk and too big of an expense to carry, so they killed it. So that format's gone. Okay, so a lot of these documents that you see here, they don't exist anymore. And little by little, even the ability to convert them into a useful format is going to go away. But let's talk about Flickr. Flickr was the #1 place for people to store their personal albums. Flickr killed that program. Up here, Shutterfly. They decided they wanted to help everybody store their stuff, but they didn't really. They were only building books out of it, and so they killed that program. Facebook. Facebook had sold itself as the #1 place to store your journal for life. But if you know what's going on with Facebook even this week, they have announced that they are killing all of their live archives. So if you don't download your live archive, they're going to delete it. So that's gone. Kiss that goodbye. Google was another place. They promised that they were going to be a great archival source. Yes, sir.
So you can download all of your photographs on your phone? Is that possible?
Well, yeah, you can Google archives from all of these things.
If you have 7,000 photographs and 2 billion videos,
And that's what we're going to talk about here in a second, because the goal is to figure out how not to have 7,000 photos and an infinite number of videos. But you're absolutely right. Yes, sir.
Does Dropbox do anything remotely as a solution?
No.
I'm just curious.
So
What is it?
right? You're talking about storage in the sky, right? Of course, it's storing stuff in the sky. The problem with storage in the sky, #1, and you're about to see this because Google's doing this right now. Google has said they have too much data. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, if you don't access your data every 2 years, they're going to delete it. On the photo side of things, right? Absolutely right. But imagine this. You get sick. You're not actively going to Google Photos. You know, how long? 2 years? Gone. What happens if you pass away? You know, we were talking about this a minute ago. Is your family likely to go to that archive within 2 years?
no.
You know, really hit or miss here. And so you're likely going to lose. Many families are losing everything that they posted to Google Photos. And the same thing down here. Apple has built their program too. The reason why Dropbox is something in many cases is worse is because they charge. Unlike Google Photos and things like that, you're going to be severely limited unless you have a pro account with Dropbox. And same thing with Box. If you don't pay your $1,000 a year for your account, you know, there are cheaper, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So now we've covered a little bit about the problem, right? You're going to lose the state. There's no question about it. There's no chance. This is not like a photo that's in an album with a negative that's in an attic. These photos will go away. When you change your phone provider, perhaps, something like that. And that's when these historians look like they're right. That if you don't do something else affirmative, you have a problem. And not only that, there's a reason why you took that photo, right? You took the photo because you wanted to share it. You wanted it to stay in existence. You want to pass it down. You want a story to go with it. It used to be an album next to a little tag that said, this is the graduation to see mom and grandma and whatever. But now we don't even do that. And so what we need to do in a way is kind of get back to an old school way of thinking. So we know that we're not trying to save 7,400 photos. We're not trying to save the right 200. And it's not 1,000 photos at the graduation. It might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, whatever you want to do, but it's not 1,000. So how do we do this in a way that makes a difference in how we're living? The first thing is diligent living. It is so easy to tag a photo. As a matter of fact, if you actually look at your phone, you'll realize there are a lot of ways built in order to narrow down that selection. AI is even helping me try to figure out whether you were blinking in the photo, but I don't trust AI for this. Sometimes it blinks photos up perfectly good photos. The question is, how do you narrow it down? The answer is, who cares how you narrow it down? We didn't narrow down film when we took 24 or 36 exposures, right? You got what you got, and you were completely happy. So the point is not to agonize, it's to make a decision. And so as soon as you finish taking that photo, all you gotta do is click the heart button. Now you know, that's the one you're keeping. Right? Now you know you can get rid of all the rest. You can filter by the heart, and then delete the rest. Whatever it takes in order to get it down to the ones you want to pass down as part of your legacy. You can keyword words. select them all and say graduation. Now, if you're looking through 7,000 photos and you know you did it at graduation, type in graduation, and they're coming up, and that's going to be fantastic. Diligent planning. This is really what it comes down to when it says, what's important to you? Do you have a family story? Do you have a book of recipes? What do you have that you want to pass down? And then take some extra time to figure out how to protect it. Because I'm about to show you what I did, and it's been amazing for my family. The implementation, obviously, whatever you decide to do, you want to have stored. If there's a conflict, once somebody dies, if they don't have all the information, you're giving people ammo to create additional kind of conflicts. What we're trying to do in a lot of ways is not just about keeping family histories alive, but we're in an anti-conflict zone. So we know that your legacy only exists after you've passed. And so we're actually planning not just for how your life is going to be better, that you have these wonderful outcomes, but it's the greatest gift you can leave a family is that they're still intact. And so what we're trying to do is to keep your family still intact, keep the stories passing down, keep everyone trying to love each other. And we're doing the best we can because conflict will come up anytime it can. And all you need to do is take a few different steps and you can start to minimize what that conflict is. And of course, you've got all kinds of ideas for when people talk about, what they're planning, but writing down where the accounts are, the passwords, the cloud accounts for photos. Just as important, it's actually more important than a lot of other things because it gives people what they are born with, which is their histories. Here are a few things that are solutions that I use. Of course, I use iCloud. I have an iPhone. There's nothing I can do to avoid that. I do use Google Drive. I use Dropbox. I use Box. I have paid accounts for all of them because of my studio. YouTube remains the most important place to store videos. If you think YouTube is in the business of videos, then you're wrong. YouTube's in the business of advertising. There is no guarantee that they're going to keep an unlimited number of videos forever. But for what it's worth, they are still doing that. So if you have photos on your phone that you want to keep, get them onto YouTube. Now, YouTube offers private accounts, unlisted accounts, all kinds of not accounts, unlisted statuses. You're not exposing them to the world. This is not a privacy issue. You're able to stay very private with this. You're able to not password protect. You're able to make sure someone has to log in with their Gmail, their Google account. You do all kinds of things to protect it. But the truth is, when it comes to archiving video, YouTube still is the only good way, although I do use some of them for that very same purpose. And you'll see over here that I have albums and videos broken out for every year of my daughter's life. I have whatever we had from Germany, from Russia, from the emigration through South America. We have little galleries. But the other thing is they're all keyworded. So even though I have 30 galleries, all I have to do is type in mom and grandma, and up pops the pictures of mom and grandma. It doesn't take actually as much time as it does. But the truth is, what we need to do is we also need to go back to some of the books, the ideas that we have, because nobody wants to go to an archive of 8,000 photos. Never mind, at the end of the life, what could be 200,000 or 500,000 photos. So I will show you one of the things that we do in my family. And incidentally, there are people like me that help with this. I'm here from a purely philanthropic standpoint, but I do help people with this. But you can do this yourself. This is super easy to do. My mother used to keep recipes on index cards. And that was a very hard part. Right? Most of index cards. But all you had to do was just take a photo. And all you got to do is take this photo and then throw it in the book. This whole book, by the way, here's the image start. All you have to do is throw them in a book. And you can do this. This whole book took me less than, an hour and a half. But then the most important thing to do is to realize the family's about to fight over the recipe books. And so all we did was print it. We just gave everybody a copy. And so for almost, I would not say almost nothing, it still cost a couple $100. If you don't know how to do it yourself and you want to do it yourself, even companies like this was done by a company called Blur. They have layout tools. If you use something more advanced like InDesign, you can be way faster at it. It's, there's millions of ways to do it. This is not necessarily about trying to sell you on an investment. This is about making sure it's done. And so this was the recipe. Every person in my family gets it. And by the way, there are incredible recipes in here that have passed down probably from generations, if not centuries. And it would be lost. If anything happened to me and I had the stars, that's gone. Another thing we do is we take these little photos. Yes, sir.
I appreciate what you're recommending. But in the Palisades, and a lot of our friends lost everything. So that little book that I presented, can it be reproduced elsewhere?
Yes, it can be reproduced. As a matter of fact, this book was made all the way back in 2004 when my mother passed away in 2002. This was done in 2004. Blur still has that archive. I can have that reprinted anytime I want. But beyond that, you'll notice if you looked up at that little left corner of my web host, the book is still there. It's in PDF form. The flip book part of it, that was in Flash, is gone, but the PDF is there. And also, I remember my family has stuff. So, when it comes to protecting yourself from a fire, what we've done is you've gotten other copies outside the house. And that's way better than if the only place it was in your attic. So that's sort of the idea. Same thing, it's my daughter's first birthday, her first year. And this book took me an hour. The reason why it took me an hour, by the way, is because I had already narrowed down the pictures. I narrowed down the pictures. When I shoot a UCLA basketball game, I shoot 6,000 minutes. I deliver 10 at halftime, 10 at the end of the game, and I gather my next figure 30. I have to take 6,000 down to 50, and I have to do it in 2 hours. Okay? I'm in the business of narrowing down photos, right? You can do this, I promise you. If I can get from 6,000 down to 50, I promise you can get down 20 to 1.
So does, my wife makes Shutterfly notes for everything. Do they have that, are those archived as well, so she can go back and pick another one in case our books are burned?
Shutterfly has been far more business oriented. It seemed like Blur, which is a little bit higher price tag, has been better at archiving. Shutterfly has gotten rid of the program, but quite possible. I would go back and check.
What is the alternative?
The one, so there are 7. The one that I use is Blur.
Blur?
Blur, BLURB.com. I did it because they're easy, they're fast, and the quality is good. I don't think they're as cheap as Shutterfly was, but I was very, to me, I'm only doing this once on each one of the books, so I'll get it done.
Mark, I want to ask.
Yes, sir.
Can we share this PowerPoint with everyone?
You can.
Okay, so everybody, we will forward this link, so you don't have to do anything with it. You'll be able to expand it yourself, okay?
That's right. And I did speak about this, and the reason why I'm here, the other reason why I'm here is this is actually rehearsal for a TED Talk. So, there's going to be a lot more on this. There are not other people talking about this.
So, one of the things we maybe will talk about later in the talk, but I think what the essence that you're trying to get here is separating the holy from the mundane, the eternal from the. How do you yourself make this thing keep and what we aspire?
That's a great question. The answer is it doesn't matter. Then ultimately, and I can get into sports, right? Sports is a different ball, right? Different ball, unintended of this. There are certain rules that you follow for what makes a good film. So right off the bat, in most senses, you already know. Right? Let me say it like this. I'm going to shoot a portrait session for somebody. They'll come into the studio and I'll shoot a portrait session for them. And we'll come up with 50 really good photos. And when I say really good, I mean technically good. They are sharp. They're perfectly in focus and properly exposed. Everything about them is technically perfect. We have to take 50 and somehow boil that down to 2. And so right off the bat, you can judge. There are a lot of ways of judging this feeling like, I don't feel like it looked right, or that expression is better or not. So get rid of it. And you can do this really, really fast. So then you get down to the last 5. And then what I would say is, and most clients will say, well, I just want all 5. And I will say, well, that's 5 times the price. I don't want them to have all 5. Nobody uses all 5. How many headshots do you have that you use? Isn't it the same photo? If you want one, and whichever one you send on is going to be the one you use. And so it doesn't matter ultimately how, if 2 of them are so similar, it really comes down to the one you pick. In headshots, that's harder. It really matters. You really care. It's a professional image that's going out there. But at the graduation, you're taking a picture of the family, it matters way less. So don't agonize. The best other example I can give is if you're moving out of your house, how long does it take for you to do that? Months. All right? I remove her, how long does it take for them to that? 4 hours. Right? The reason is because they're not thinking. They're just happy. If you're reviewing your photos at the end of the day and you're thinking, you're going to be miserable. I swear, it's going to be the worst experience of your life. The goal is to just get the job done, because ultimately, when you have 6 photos of your family all smiling, it doesn't matter what you do. In the world of film, we got 1 shot of that, and you were happy. Now we have 30 shots of that, and we're about to lose them all. So my goal is get down to 1, and then get it tangible. Get it in a way that the family can then enjoy it. Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier about using the heart as a means to identify the pictures you want to keep. So what you're suggesting, if I understand, is to go into our Google Photos or into our photos and earmark art, and you take the heart and photos and then put it in a special gallery or something?
Yeah, so it's called favorite, and so you're picking your favorites. But if I were to go into my photos, and this is a bad example, if you were to look, and I know it's kind of hard, but if you look, I had somebody on my stage, and you see, took a whole bunch of that person. But if you look very, much more detailed, you'll still see that 5 of them are hearted, and the rest are not. Now, I told you to get down to 1, right? So why do I have 5? Because I distribute those to the client. Once those are done, I'm going to get rid of everything. In all likelihood, none of them rise to the level of something I don't keep. They're behind the scenes photos. But you'll see how quickly you can see the little hearts right on the photo. All I have to do is map the photo I like and start it. Then I can select the favorites, move them to an album, and you can not worry about the rest. You don't even need to delete them. We'll just ignore them and never look at it.
Can you do a global command where it goes into your photo gallery and finds all the hearts and takes all the hearts and moves it over to a place where you can have them?
Yeah, so you're getting a little bit more technical in the hearts, because I know you can select the favorites.
Or another methodology to do that.
Right. The reason why I'm not as skilled on the hearts is because I use a program called Lightroom. In Lightroom, I rate them all, and then I get down to my files, and then I get down to my mix, and I literally delete. So out of the UCLA game I just shot, I probably deleted, 1,500 photos. Out of 6,000, I have 200 keepers. Out of the 200 keepers, I have less than 50 I'm going to show. So it really is about you hit this thing with an axe, and you're happy because you have something you can pass down. I promise you, I've seen estates, and I know you have, where they've had so much stuff, the family's just exhausted. They're not going to look at it. So your entire family history is going to go away. The goal is to give them something that's bite-sized. I just wanted to show you this, and then I'm done showing stuff. My mother was amazing at keeping little albums, and this was an album of actually met my father. And you'll notice she made this thing out beautifully. Oh, that's another thing I think. And so the important thing here was that we didn't take it out of the album. We just shot it. Because her layout was important. And I think a lot of the time we think that we have to scan photos. If you don't have to scan the photo. You just take the photo and put it in a book. Take the photo, do something with it so it stays alive. And by the way, if we would have had a fire, her book would have gone away. Not only that, but this real paper would have helped the fire work. Instead now, every single person in the family has a copy of this. There's nothing left to fight about. So thank you. And then the last thing I'm going to show, because it fell out of the book, here's an amazing photo. You're about to see this incredible photo I have of my daughter dancing at her dance recital. Right? You're about to see why do I care about showing this to you? Beautiful photo, huh?
Works well.
No. Faded.
Oh, word.
When you print photos that you want to keep and you want to archive, take the time to get archival paper and archival ink. It will go away. This is not photos. These are not photos anymore. That only fade under heavy sun. This is stuff that goes away by itself. This photo's never left out in the sun. It's just what happens. So again, this is the generation. This is the time we're about to lose all of the things we want because we're buying too big. We're not printing. We're not archiving. We're not keywording. We're not paying attention. We're overwhelmed. So I guess my point is, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. If you've got questions, you want to talk to people like me, go to Blur, open up an account, SmartMock, do whatever you have to do. But my goal is, at the end of this, if there's a fire, I don't want you to lose all of your family history. So that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any other questions you guys have. Yes, sir.
I appreciate what you're saying. And it occurred to me that this might be the responsibility of state and trust attorneys to share this information with their.
I would venture to say that if you're going to rely on that, you are way too late. You're way too late. First of all, estate and trust attorneys make money based on handling essentially 5 core documents. One of those provisions is digital estate planning. It's built into either a trust or a will. It is not the core of their business. Second, you can't get people who know estate and trust attorneys. And I can give you the statistics on 88% families with minor children have no estate documents. Of the estate documents that they have, they haven't completed it. They'll build a trust and not put the house into it. Over 50% of people in retirement age do not have estate documents done. The majority of estate documents are done either near the deathbed, when you're going into the hospital on an emergency, or, believe it or not, going on vacation. If you're going to wait, then you might as well have just those documents to buy. This is what we do while we live. And the truth is, if you're going to go, if you have a wedding or a memorial service, that's when you take out, and I'll talk about videos in 1 second. That's when you take out the video camera. That's when the stories are being told. They're not being told anywhere else. Families are not congregated. You're not going to see those people again. So you don't conduct, we'll conduct me and my team will conduct about 20 memorial service live streams every year. And many of them will open up an interview area. And our job is to get grandma to come and talk to us. And we'll either have questions that are pre-written and then be good interviewers, so we know how to pull the information out. But these stories, they happen rarely, and they happen through life. But if you're not taking the video at a memorial service, you're not getting stories. They're not coming back. Same thing in the wedding. In my world, I'm Jewish, we sit Shiva, everybody gets together for 7 days, we tell stories. If you're not recording the stories are gone. And so I'm an advocate for getting the information collected and then figuring out how to protect it, how to pass it down. Yes, sir.
On Shiva specific, people, I find that they're not going to want to be interviewed and a camera in their face.
Everything is a balance, right? At memorial services, we'll hear that all the time. And so we'll set the area up outside. So we're not putting cameras in people's faces, but we are trying to reduce pressure. We're trying to basically say, if you leave without telling us that story, then we're not going to have it. And also, a lot of people don't like cameras in the first place. And so a lot of what we do is try to soften the experience as best we can. But we do know the only way that my family is any of the Holocaust story is because we forced the camera into somebody's face, and that person ended up dying a month later. So if you want the stories, you got to get the stories, and because they are free.
So you teach a softer way of asking.
That comes for us, that comes with practice.
Okay.
But it also comes with insistence. My father didn't want to sit down and tell his life story. He hated cameras. And I finally said that, you've got all kinds of things. Who knows how, hopefully you'll be here for 50 years, but you might not be. But my daughter's probably going to be here for 50 years. And then beyond that, hopefully her daughter's here for 50 years. Just sit down and tell us about this. Just tell us how you met mom. And we did a talk for 6 hours. Obviously.
What cloud service do you think is the best out of these companions?
I trust SmugMug the most. If anybody wants to open it, I got a little discount code thing that they give me because I'm a loyal member. I like SmugMug because it helps you organize and these keywords make it easy. And SmugMug has a policy where if something were to happen to the account holder and nobody got and they didn't get paid their $200 a year for 5 years, that they still don't destroy the data. So now, does that mean they're going to be in existence 80 years from now? Well, maybe. But I don't know that I would do that. Doesn't mean they won't change their policy. They could at any point. But right now, at this moment, they are still family owned and operated, and they have been unbelievably reliable, so much so that they bought Flickr's library. Yes, sir.
But we're in a new world called AI. See AI in this
Absolutely. Lightroom, for instance, is a program that helps you rate photos, do everything I just explained, keyword. Lightroom can now identify the same face, and it will automatically apply that keyword. In other words, it'll know who grandma is and automatically put grandma's name in. So 100% AI is an amazing tool. I don't know that it's infiltrated the iPhone yet, but if you were to take your iPhone photos and load it into a software like Lightroom, you would get the benefit of that. So yeah, it's there, it's present, and it's growing. So yes, sir.
Yeah. I've been relying on iCloud for storage of photos. Should I be transferring all those as I take them to another platform, another storage place?
Yeah, so it's hard for me to knock iCloud as a general rule. They are amazing at creating a duplicate of your phone in real time. And so as long as you are paying your $9.95, it looks like iCloud's a good solution as long as you have the iPhone and you are a good Apple customer.
I don't understand $9.99.
Oh, so
I mean $2.99.
Oh, yes, but if let's say you had more data,
Okay.
or more family members, they'll charge $9.
Okay.
It's right, exactly. So I don't want to discount the quality of what makes that work. I can tell you that whenever I take a picture on my phone, it goes not only to iCloud, but also to Snap. So I'm not relying upon any one particular solution.
Is there an extra step you need to go through that Apple?
About 2 minutes worth of saying, please also back up by phone. You need a smartphone account, of course.
Okay.
The issue that I think we're just managing is the fact that every service seems to either go away or require something at some point. In other words, they own your life. And the goal is, in some ways, for you to take back. And so if not only did iCloud have that, where, by the way, we talked about this earlier, Mike, where, if your family doesn't know you have the iCloud account, they won't get it. If they don't know the passwords, they may have a difficult time. If they're not on it, if they're not engaged in it and take action, it's gone. So it's not a great solution when it comes to passing down a legacy. And also, it's just photos. It doesn't have the stories associated with it, or the context. And it's too many. At some point in your life, it's 7,000 photos. Of course, everybody's different. You may be less, maybe more, but on the average, it's 7,000 photos. Your family may end up getting 190,000 photos to sort through, and no context. And so, in a lot of ways, the goal is, yeah, it's great as a short term. It's great as in a form of safety, but it's not good in terms of legacy protection, passing stories down, and creating a living document.
How big is your iCloud storage account?
Well, I got a certain big. But
10 terabytes, 20 terabytes?
Well, I think it's probably in the neighborhood of 10
I'm not using that for full resolution file storage. And the truth is, the majority of that storage is video. You take a video of something, my daughter swims a race, I film a race, that's the equivalent of 90 photos. And that's really the other area where you have a big risk. I'm going to say something really odd. I know.
You have time.
I know that. I'm going to say something really odd. I'm not
Don't
going
say
to say
it.
odd to run out the door. I'm going to say something. Right now, we're in a position where we can make archival copies of books, but we can't make archival copies of videos without transferring back to film. There's no way. These hard drives, I told you, are going to fail, and you can't put a video in a book. So we had a terrible problem when it comes to video. And for a while, and I would say definitely under the new modern way of thinking in the government, this is less likely than ever. But it used to be that at least the Library of Congress was trying to take action to try to figure out how to save our histories. For instance, they believe that part of our legacy is in current news. And when Twitter first opened, the Library of Congress decided they were going to archive all tweets. And it made no sense until you started trying to figure out what happened when we bombed Bin Laden or when we attacked Bin Laden. And they were able to deconstruct the story based on 100 people's input to the second. They could figure out exactly what happened. But when they threw those archives away, essentially a lot of what we're looking at in terms of news and the ability to reconstruct is not there. So we were relying upon these kind of other organizations, governmental organizations stepping in and saying, no way. I started a company, an organization called the National Will Register. Our existence was to protect people's wills. Two things. Number one, we couldn't get people to sign up. Bad business model. Number two, we couldn't make contracts with the government. Our goal was to contract with governmental organizations so that they were partnered with us. So all of the citizens in California could register their will. It became an official document. We had to deal with Iron Mountain. We were going to do all of this stuff in order to make sure none of these documents could go away. Two problems. Number one, nobody wanted to do it from civilization. And number two, we wanted to be endorsed. We wanted the government to say there's a presumptive understanding that if you do this, that will is valid. Because I can't tell you how many times families will throw wills away they don't like, or how many times they'll, so we wanted to create something that was your legacy, and we couldn't make it happen. So I don't think you can rely upon anybody to do this, certainly not right now. And hopefully at some point there is a way to rely upon it. But it is, the American dream is largely you get to live your life how you want, and you get to screw it up any way you want. And the majority of families are, in fact, screwing this up. They're not finding ways to do this stuff.
In addition to cloud, you have, I'm considering your own servers or backup servers and backup servers.
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask when it comes to normalcy. Yeah, I got a studio. Today alone we're archiving 8 terabytes of information onto our network available storage devices, because those are my clients' information. So yeah, we are in the business of how do we save data. And even so, it kills me. Like, we're putting 8 terabytes of data onto our network storage, but I can't find a way to get that onto the cloud. So we're taking small versions of that and duplicating it for the cloud. So, this is a massive problem. As great as it is, as wonderful as it is to take all these photos, it is nearly impossible to come up with an absolutely safe way to make sure that they're there when you need it, and they look like what you want them to look like, and that you can functionally sort them. So in a lot of ways, like I said, you can do all of this stuff, but in the end, I kind of always get back to the books, and I always wonder, I don't know what to do with the video. I trust YouTube, and I trust SmugMug for the video, and I pray every day that they're not going to change the policies on it. Yes, you good? Anything else? Yes, sir.
I have a program, Photo My Knee. Know that program?
I don't know that one.
Program, you take your phone and you can take a picture of an album, and it takes, digitize the page, it pulls the pictures out. You can edit them and to put them into a new format from your photo album.
That's great. I love it. I only make sense sometimes they go back to the album. So you need.
You're absolutely right. You still have the album.
But there are so many tools out there right now for you.
Yep.
And whichever one meets your needs, that's amazing. You take advantage of it. It doesn't take a lot of programming to come up with great.
And you can also put it in the cloud.
Yeah.
When's your TED Talk?
Hopefully soon. But largely heard, this is largely what we're putting together. So, but our goal, like I said, my goal personally is to educate on this. And hopefully along the way come up with solutions that are more foolproof. The only digital form of storage that really works, I can almost guarantee, I can 100% guarantee, that nobody in this room even has, and most have never heard of, which is tape to tape. The tape. Believe it or not, it is more reliable than anything else that we've talked about. The average lifespan is 30 to 50 years. There are no good solutions here. And so the best solution we have is diligence. Paying attention, narrowing stuff down, keywording them, and making bite-sized for when you pass it down.
We have two more, wait a second, we have two more questions and then we're gonna wrap it up. So Zach?
This is a short one. Is it going to be TEDx? Well, I'm asking because I want to. I have people I want to send this to.
Oh, that's great. And until I get all the answers, there's somebody else working on it for me, and I'm doing a lot of rehearsing. And like I said, I hope I was able to answer your questions, which is part of the rehearsal. So, anything else to say with it?
One more. Chris?
Recommend for people who've already lost everything.
I hope that they learn and go out and, sometimes other people have those same photos, or sometimes they'll be surprised, maybe your phone was still in the backup file for you. But I mean, like I said, if you're trying to save your legacy and you're relying on the state attorney to do it, it's too late. Unfortunately, fires are unforgiving. I will say that disaster prep, people in the state of California have been told for many, many years that they should have a blowback disasters. But when they heard this, they realized, we all know that we're going to get hit by that, but at some point, maybe now, maybe in 10 years or 20 years, and yet almost none of these families have spare water available or toilet paper, never mind anything else. It just is prep. It's just, we know what could happen, so we should maybe take a couple steps. And before it's too late. And I feel terrible. I lost a lot of friends in the fire. I know a lot of friends in houses in the fire.
So let's give Mark a round of applause. I want to present to you a speaker gift from us to you. You did a great job. It sounds overwhelming and kind of scary, but I think at least we have an understanding of maybe there's some solutions. I'm going to forward this PowerPoint to each of you so you can at least have some ideas. Mark, I will forward Mark's information. I'm sure he'd be happy to have you shoot a legacy video for your family. Yeah, which is, I don't know what the price is, so we can negotiate that. But so now before we end the meeting, I just want to go over it. Next week, it says Monica White, president of Santa Monica Rotary Club. She's not coming as a presidential visit. She was a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz as a little child, went to Shanghai, lived there for a number of years, and then came to the States. Her presentation will be illuminating and very heartfelt. You think when you leave a concentration camp, you left anti-Semitism, just wait to hear the story of being a white person in Shanghai during World War II. Okay, that's all I'm giving you just a brief little summary. I think everybody next week will be something that everybody should come to, and bring your spouses, because I think this is something coming from the heart. Okay, so let me just see if there's anything else. Oh, yes. Yes, definitely we're going to Zoom next week. So those of you who are on Zoom, we're going to give you another opportunity to have Zoom. But I'd rather see Steve Shear here. And I'd rather see Marcia here. But if you're not, you're going to have an opportunity. And Mark, you might want to enjoy coming on Zoom on this one because this is something that's unusual. So with that, it is time. Meeting is adjourned.